Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Moss, the official podcast of Somos Moss NM, and your source for the latest news and notes on New Mexico United and the New Mexico Runners. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Joining me this evening, the one, the only head elf coordinator, Earl Nieto. Earl, I've got to ask. It's been a couple weeks since we talked. Last time we were here, we talked to head coach of the New Mexico Runners, Coach Steve Familetta. Since then, you've obtained a new title. How is the new position? And can you help me figure out what to do with this box of elf ideas?
Yeah, I have a couple ideas what you can do with that box of ideas there. I will text you my idea.
Okay.
How's it going? I mean, it's been 3 weeks now that we talked?
Yeah, close to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. It's been a minute.
Yeah, since then I put on about 14 pounds because of Thanksgiving. I froze it off because of electric light parades here in the middle of town, here in Vegas. When I watched the Christmas tree lighting. And then I've been looking forward to this day all day, to this moment all day, because rumor has it our pigeon-toed buddy Jacob is supposed to be back today.
Now, I don't know. I've heard this rumor as well that Jacob may or may not be back here today. I was under the impression that we had a new hire coming on board today. So we'll see what happens, whether it's Jacob or a new hire. Maybe it's both. I don't know. We'll find that out. But it's certainly been a minute. How was Thanksgiving? Did you spend time with the family? What was your takeaway from the Cowboys suddenly becoming good again? Will they actually catch the Eagles?
So Thanksgiving was good. I spent it here up north. I didn't go down to Mountain Air. So next year I'll go down to Mountain Air and spend it with my family. So I spent it up here with Marlena's family. It was fun. We hung around and talked and ate till about 10 o'clock at night. And then finally they left, and then we all went to bed and slept in the next day and had turkey for the next 4. And my takeaway on the Cowboys suddenly being good again, I mean, that's that. I mean, the Cowboys are the Cowboys. They beat the shitty team that they're supposed to, and they lose to the team that they're not supposed to.
Yeah, the Cowboys been playing pretty well. Dak is finally looking like the quarterback that everyone thought he might be. I've never been particularly high on Dak. That being said, he's played pretty well this year.
Yeah, Dak has played pretty good this year. I mean, the first couple games, all the way through the 49ers week, I was super, super harsh on him. I even texted my brother, who's a diehard Cowboys fan, and said, Dak fucking sucks. Sorry, kids, if you're listening at 8 o'clock at night. Earmuffs. Yeah, so I was super harsh on him for a while, and ever since then, I mean, he's been good. There are some moments that I'm like, why the hell would he do that? But when you're throwing 2,000 yards or 1,800 yards, or the hell it is, in the past 6 games, you can't really complain about that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't when your quarterback is, at this point projected to be quite possibly the MVP of the league. I don't think you can complain.
How do you feel about him being almost MVP right now?
Like I said, he's never been high on my list. To me, he's always underperformed, but I think that's also been a byproduct of some issues that Dallas has had offensively with scheme and players around him. The fact that he's playing well, I think is great for the Cowboys. I think it is. And I don't necessarily think it means that they're 100% back. I mean, they still have to prove that they can win in the postseason, but it's certainly a gigantic step in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're the one that bet on him to do good because you put him in your fantasy.
I did. I've been running Dak in fantasy, and he's been doing pretty well. Unlike George Kittle. I hate you, George Kittle.
He does good when he's on your bench.
He's had like one good week when I've started him. Every other time I've started him, he's done absolutely nothing for me.
Just trade him to me. I'll take him.
I tried to trade him to Marlena, but she didn't accept the trade.
What did you ask for? Christian McCaffrey?
I don't think so. It was something. I think I asked for like her tight end and something else. It was like 2 for 2.
Tell you what, you trade him to me and I'll trade it to her unless the trade deadline.
We'll have to see. I don't know what the trade deadline is for our league, but I know we're I think 1 week away from the playoffs.
Yeah, so we have this week and then next week and then playoffs.
I think it's just this week. Yeah.
Yeah, this coming week and then we have playoffs next week. Somehow I am skating by the skin of my teeth to get in the playoffs. I don't know how I'm doing it, but I am right now sitting in 4th place with like 1,800 points or 1,873 points or something like that. There's 7 points separating me and Robert. So Robert, if you're listening, you got lucky this past week because Joe Mixon was not supposed to pick up more than 14 points.
Yeah, I'm still sitting second in the league. I lost to Marlena by 0.7 of a point.
I saw that
0.7, and I was watching it down to the end. I'm like, okay, the Rams have got Cooper Kupp in the red zone, and they didn't even target him. I'm like, what are you doing? They didn't even target him. I'm like, just one more reception for Cooper Kupp, I would have won that matchup. But it is what it is. I'm sitting second. I've already clinched a playoff spot. My team is so weird. It has been so randomly bad at times this year, but that's just the way the fantasy football is. Streaming defenses against the Jets has worked out pretty well. So, the Jets have been really, really bad. Also, streaming against the Commanders has worked out pretty well too. So, but yeah, I mean, fantasy is coming down to the end here. In a 6-team league, it's quite interesting to see the dynamic of how that plays out and how the rosters are built. So, also from the weekend, Earl, I wanted to ask you: did you watch the 4-hour broadcast on ESPN to announce the CFP teams?
I did not watch that, but I did watch the 3-hour broadcast of Survivor Series War Games.
I imagined you did. And that was a lot of fun as well. What was your takeaway from War Games?
I was happy. I couldn't have been happier. I'm a huge CM Punk fan. Sorry if I'm a little distracted. I'm playing shuffleboard with my brother right now.
War Games, obviously a couple big returns. You see the return of Randy Orton. He's back. CM Punk made his debut at the end of the night. Really interesting to see him back in the WWE after 10 years.
Yeah, I've always been a huge CM Punk fan. So when I was sitting there watching it, I had heard rumblings of it happening. So I was sitting there watching it. Maya was watching it with me because now she's also a WWE fan. Randy Orton came out and she thought that was the only return happening. And then I did too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was about to turn off my iPad and then Cult of Personality hits. I'm like, no fucking way. I'm a kid in the candy shop right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very cool moment to see him come back. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him. Obviously, Randy Orton signing with SmackDown. Daddy is back, apparently. So, I mean, the other question I have for you coming out of out of War Games, who runs Judgment Day? Does I have a feeling Damian Priest is going to leave before too long.
It's Rhea Ripley.
Damian
Priest, my thing with him is I like Damian Priest. He has a lot of potential. But the way he's being utilized sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs to break away and go back to the original Damian Priest and win a title off of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens here in the coming weeks and months of WWE. Obviously, Cody Rhodes feels that he's back on track. Some really good matches on Saturday over at War Games. It'd be interesting to see what happens now over on SmackDown as well, with Randy Orton taking on the Bloodline apparently. So a lot of storylines coming up WWE.
Randy Orton's making his way back. Yeah, Randy Orton's going to take on the Bloodline because that's who put him on the shelf. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see that. I still don't think that it's Randy Orton that knocks off Roman Reigns. I firmly believe it'll be Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania.
There you go. All right, Earl, going back real quick, talk about the college football playoff. I mean, I know you're not as big of a college football.
Fuck the SEC. I'm a huge Texas Longhorns fan, so I'm okay with the way that played out. Mm-hmm. But Florida State got robbed.
I mean, you can certainly make the argument. If you missed the news on Sunday, the college football playoffs were announced, and the top 6 teams going into Sunday were Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State, Alabama, and Texas. Now, obviously, with the results over the weekend, UGA losing to Bama, I'll take that every day of the week. The college football playoff committee decided that UGA was no longer worthy of even a top 4 spot in the college football rankings, dropping them all the way down to number 6. Yeah, first time that's ever happened. Also, the first time that anyone outside of the top 6 has ever jumped into the top 4, with Bama moving back in with that win. So your final 4 heading into the college football playoff are Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Bama. So your matchups are Michigan, Bama, and Texas, Washington. I mean, Earl, obviously you've already expressed your displeasure for Alabama here, and happy about Texas. But what do you think? Obviously FSU, you can make the argument they should be in there, being undefeated champion of a P5 conference. I mean, what's your take there?
Can we talk about the non-5 conference that's no longer?
We can absolutely talk about the P5 conference that is no longer after this year.
So going back to the Bama sneaking in, I mean, the college football playoff is always going to want SEC because that's a money-making grab, regardless of who it is. But I don't think any SEC team this year deserves a spot. And I say this year because next year OU and OU and
Texas
go into SEC. So I don't know. I firmly believe Florida State got robbed and they should be in there, but the powers that be said otherwise.
Let's turn now to our newest hire here on Somos Spot. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Jacob Terrell. Jacob, buddy, it's been a minute.
Gentlemen, it has.
It is officially the Jacob Terrell show.
Yeah. Guys, just clear out. I'll talk for about an hour, and then we'll go home.
Earl has been dying for a week off for the past 6 months.
It hasn't been 6 months. It was 4.
It was 13 weeks.
It was 17. It was actually, I was gone for 17 weeks in the academy, and then I think I took like the first 4. This has been like 21-ish weeks.
Give or take,
It felt it too.
I see I no longer have host powers, so I couldn't add myself.
That's odd. I don't know why you don't.
Hey, I don't have host powers either. Don't feel bad. I've been here for fucking.
You shouldn't, though.
I'll double check that. I don't know why you don't have host powers.
I think it's because I'll figure it out. I'm pretty sure it's on my end.
He resigned, and I didn't get the keys of the city.
I didn't resign, first of all. I took a leave of absence.
Without pay.
Leave of absence, being here. It's all without pay, Earl.
Oh, in case you didn't know, we're getting paid now.
Really? Because there's only 2 of you, and so...
Yeah, so now we have to sacrifice our salary again.
Nah, man, sorry. You can leave, Earl. I'm just kidding.
How have you been? How was obviously you graduated the academy this past week.
No one really
How's the
cared.
family? How are you? Like, I mean, let's catch up with you here real quick before we get into, your professional opinion on FSU getting screwed.
I don't have an opinion on that, to be honest, but I'll talk about it in a minute. We're good. Everybody survived. Hell, I didn't take out any of the kids like I probably would have if I was in her shoes. I got through the 17 weeks of being away from the family. I could come home on the weekends. Don't take too much pity on me, but
We did it.
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the viewers / listeners. Thank you very much. And so, yeah, it sucked at times. It was cool at times. But I'm glad to be back. I've been back at work for a little over a week now. It's been fun. Because it was actually 2 weeks ago today that I graduated. And so I've had a little bit of time to adjust and settle back in. Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Please don't.
But I'm not going to. So,
Thank God.
I have seen Earl a few times, because we work together ish, and have had to talk to him several times because he's bad at his job. But
has something happened in the past couple hours that I'm not aware of?
Carlos, is that like legit? Like it has actually been announced that
it was on ESPN. Mendenhall, what's his first name?
It's a Bronco Mendenhall.
Yeah.
I saw the rumor that it was potentially going to be soon, but
yeah, I don't think there's been an official announcement. According to the ESPN report that I saw just a little bit ago, they were still working on finalizing the deal.
There's a kid. I spy a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, another special guest here this evening.
That's the new hire.
That's the new hire.
There's two of them.
There's two of them.
We're fully staffed.
There we go.
So I will be muting real quick, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure thing. Nothing official, but Flight Tracker is beautiful. Carlos, how are you, buddy? Been a minute. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully your semester is going well at school. Yeah, it was reported earlier that there were rumors that Bronco Mendenhall, a former BYU head coach, former Virginia head coach, could potentially be coming back.
Hey, yeah, I was about to say you missed a spot.
Yeah, no, I'm saying he was never the head coach here. He was a coordinator here in the late 90s, early 2000s. So he's coached here before. I think that could be a really great hire for UNM if they bring Mendenhall back. I mean, yes, there was some improvement under Coach Gonzalez here this year, but it wasn't nearly enough. But UNM's always going to face the same problem they've always had. Jacob.
Oh, please do.
Why the fuck are we talking about a team that is not important to anybody except for UNM students? And they really just care because they like to go tailgate and get drunk. At the end of the day, nothing's going to matter until we actually see some improvement. And so I don't know why we're talking about this.
Yeah,
we could be talking about other useless things like the BCS or not BCS. What is it called now?
The CFP.
Yeah, that's that useless thing. Or we could be talking about actual important things like United signings and stuff that has to do with the team that's all around here and on Seth's sweater and the poster and the things behind there. No, we cannot talk about that either, Carlos. Shut your filthy mouth.
Oh man, it is so good to have Jacob back. And the problem is neither Team Jacob nor Team Earl are in the house this evening to catch this momentous occasion.
Where are those guys?
I don't know. They're normally here. So
I'm gonna text Team Jacob right now.
There you go. They've been quite vocal during your absence. That they missed you quite a lot. So, but you're absolutely right. There's a lot going on with New Mexico United. We haven't spent a whole lot of time here in the offseason yet talking about the comings and goings of New Mexico United players. We did talk about Armando Moreno a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, Jacob, you weren't on the show at the time. So, let's start there. Let's get your take on Armando Moreno leaving from you, particularly his move south.
What do you think I think about it? It sucks. I will be the first to admit that he was not high on my list of favorite players for a while. Before he got hurt and he went to El Salvador and came back, felt like he was pushing too much and trying to do too much. And then, of course, he got injured and then took a while to get back from that injury. But last year, he was incredible and one of the more important cogs in the wheel of New Mexico United's attack. And so losing him, period, sucks. But losing him to El Paso, I mean, I think the only way you can really talk about it is does it feel better or does it feel worse than Santi leaving for Phoenix after the 2019 season?
I think so.
See, I don't. I can see where you do. And I do think El Paso is the bigger rival right now. But at the time when Santi left, if we rewind back to the end of 2019, Santi had just had an incredible year, a better year than Moreno had this year. I think we can agree, or at least we should agree because I think it's true. And then at the time, I think everybody in the fan base hated Phoenix more than everybody hates El Paso right now.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, if you actually like transport yourself back in time and think of how you felt at that particular moment, I think the Moreno or the Santi Moar one to Phoenix still hurts a little bit more, but it's just a little bit. I mean, it's still watching him go, like seeing him play in the El Paso colors might be weirder than seeing Santi play in the Phoenix colors. It's going to be strange. It's not going to be fun. But that being said, I do have faith in Eric Quill to replace him, Eric Quill and Idemar, to replace him and find some people that can take this attack to another level. And I'm very interested to see what Quill does in his first offseason as head coach.
Yeah, the offseason has really gotten off to a bit of a jump here. We got some early news from the club, obviously with the departure of Amando, and then we saw the announcement that a number of players are already returning, and guys that we had talked about, Earl and I talked about throughout the season as really wanting them to be back. You watch the way Arturo Astorga played at the end of the year. He's back next year. Zico Bailey is back. Daniel Bruce, Nicky Hernandez, Santi Moar, Christian Nava, of course, Jacobo Reyes, Will Seymour, Harry Swartz. Some of these guys we knew were already under contract. So that was the first round of signings that returning players, I should say, that United announced.
Let's stop there for a second. I have not listened.
Carlos Earl would shit himself.
That's for you, Earl. That's all for you.
I will punch you in the mouth, Carlos, just so you know. I will not go hereafter with you.
I don't have that list in front of me, so say the names again, and I'll give a thumbs up or a thumbs down or a thumbs in the middle.
Arturo Astorga.
Thumb in the middle.
Okay.
I liked what I saw from him at times, but feel like we could upgrade at that position.
Zico Bailey.
Love it. Huge thumbs up. He was all over the place once he started getting consistent playing time, and excited to see what he can do.
Brucey.
I mean, do I even really? Of course, it's a thumbs up. It's freaking Brucey, and we knew he was signed. So what is interesting there is, since he was signed under the old regime, I will be curious to see what Quill decides to do with him. If it's something like remember when Quill first started, all of a sudden we saw Brucey as a 9 and we were blown away by it. And then by the end of the season, we weren't really seeing Brucey at all again. And so depending on how the rest of this roster is filled out, I'm curious to see if Brucey's just determined to be a lifelong, 18 guy and come in off the bench and that's about it. Or if we'll see him get some consistent run again next year.
Mm-hmm. Nicky Hernandez.
Love Nicky coming back. The little dance. The only problem I have with Nicky is the 2 freaking yellow cards that he got towards the end of last season when he got the red card and got kicked out, and the second one was for pretty obviously planting the mask for him to put it on, and that kind of stuff is a little annoying. But he's entertaining. His little dance. He scored some goals. He was really, really good in the attack. The one bugaboo with him is his health. He missed a couple different stints, if I'm not mistaken, due to some minor knocks here and there. And so hopefully he can stay healthy next year and produce like he did when he was on the field this year.
Carlos, we'll get to that question here in just a minute. Santi Moar.
That one surprises me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that was probably done in advance. I can't imagine, like, I just don't see Quill like going to him and be like, hey, sign back with us. I thought he was on the last year of his deal from Phoenix when we acquired him. I
have a feeling it was longer than what we were told.
Yeah, because I just don't see him coming back if he wasn't already under contract before Quill got here. But
sorry, real quick, I am now an uncle.
Yay!
I am officially an uncle now.
Heck yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
When do you go out there? You go out there sometime soon, right?
I'm hoping to get out there in January.
Nice.
Give my sister and my nephew time to adjust and get used to being in this world. So
beautiful.
I'm officially, Andrew Wiley Gruca.
That is quite the name. But congratulations.
Yeah, name for my brother-in-law's dad and our grandfather.
Nice.
So
tell her congratulations from Somos Mas, and that's awesome.
I will certainly let them. Yeah, Santi seems a bit of a strange one to me, simply because of the fact that he really did not see the pitch at all. He down the stretch.
I saw stretches of good play from him towards the end, though.
Yes.
So that one's kind of in the middle. It's up in the air. Obviously, we know what Santi's capable of, experiencing it firsthand in 2019, seeing what he did for Phoenix 20 and 2021. And so the potential is there, and we know that he can be a good attacking piece. We'll see how he fits in with Quill's system after a full offseason of work, and we'll go from there.
Christian Nava, another one we knew that was under contract for next year, but obviously coming back from the ACL, I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how he does.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Was Amando an ACL or an MCL?
ACL.
An ACL. So with Amando, we saw him really kind of take the year off for the injury and then another year or so to get back into his old self. And what made Nava so special was his quickness and his speed and his tenacity. And so we'll see if he's ready to do that right away or if that's going to take some time. But obviously it's a thumbs up for the local project coming out of Albuquerque High, I believe. Am I getting that right? And so
I believe that's correct.
So yeah, I'm happy about that. We'll see how he heals and how he reacts to that injury once he actually gets out there. I believe we saw him training at the end of last year already. So that's a good sign. That'll give him all off season to get some confidence back up and hopefully he can come in and be the same player he was right away.
Yeah, he'd been training for the past about 2 months or so of the season. But obviously it was nothing terribly strenuous because obviously you don't want to rush that ACL back. And, Christians obviously know Adrian Peterson. So you don't want to, like you said, his versatility, his ability to turn on the pitch. I want to see him early on. Can he make those cuts? Can he make that turn? What's his reaction time on things? So it's always going to feel odd for that player coming back to get back in the groove and feel comfortable on those repaired knees. So next on the list, Jacobo Reyes.
Indifferent. We didn't see enough of him. When he was out there, he didn't really jump off the pitch to me. So we'll see what an offseason does. And I know he missed some time due to injury as well. So that one to be determined.
Next up, Will Seymour.
I love that one. Obviously, the versatility that he brings, the aggressiveness, kind of shithousery that he brings. He was solid for the back line. Obviously, we need a little bit more help back there, but the fact that he can play, a full back position, he can play a center back position, he can play in the midfield. We kind of saw him do this and that and the other all throughout the last couple of years with us, and and that I think is valuable.
Harry Swartz.
Harry's a beast, man. I've always loved Harry, and so having him back, probably playing more of that attacking winger type instead of the fullback like he started out with us. Towards the end of last year, he was way higher up the pitch almost all the time, and so that's a thumbs up for sure.
All right, so that was the initial list, and in the meantime, we've also learned that Justin Portillo has left. He's gone to FC Tulsa. So with that departure there, who becomes our set piece specialist? We know that Justin was the guy who was, the one taking taking free kicks, doing the penalties. Who steps into that role? Is it someone already on the roster that we're aware of? Is it someone new?
Have you guys already covered this, or go ahead, Earl? I've talked too much. For one time, not for the whole podcast. I've just talked too much in a row.
I think it's someone already on, someone that we already have. I don't know who. I'm thinking if Bees comes back, which I guess we'll get to sometime tonight. If Bees comes back, then I think he'll be the guy. On the penalties, at least, I'm thinking corner kicks will probably have Harry doing it. Someone that already does the crosses in play. So you never know with Quill, that's for sure.
Also returning, and we'll get to the latter part of that here in just a minute. Also returning, it's been announced Greg Hurst is back. Kalen Ryden is back. Sergio Rivas returns. Those are the other three returning players already announced. Rachel, welcome on in. Hope you're doing well. How are you? Jacob, let's go over to you with these three returning players. We talked again about building a core of this team going forward. Oh, we've got kids. Okay. Building a core of this team going forward. You're good. Okay. Yeah. Going forward, obviously Sergio Rivas was a guy who was kind of an engine out of the midfield at times, particularly with Nava being out. Kalen Ryden coming back to hopefully secure that back line once again. Those two I think most folks kind of expected. The one that surprised me, and I really want to get your take on this one, Greg Hurst, a guy that didn't particularly stand out in terms of goal scoring this year. He was good in the hold up, and he did some other things well, and he definitely played well down the stretch. But I didn't expect this one.
Yeah, I'm going to back up just a hair to the set piece specialist part. I don't know if this guy was doing it where he previously was, but an option from what I have seen is Marco Micheletta. And so I think bringing him in is almost it might sacrifice a little bit of Portillo's defense, but I think he's going to kind of take that role of everyday midfield starter from Portillo. As for the other people coming back, sorry, the kid's still awake, so just making sure he actually listens to Mom.
Yeah, I'll go.
Hurst is a little surprising, but I believe maybe it was Earl that I talked to about it that last night, the last home game, when I got to make it or something. I can't remember if it was in or not, but I said at the time I wouldn't be surprised if he came back because he kind of won Quill over late. He was doing a lot of good things. It seemed like if he scored once in a game, he was going to score twice. And so not super surprising to me. And I'm excited that he's back. I've been a big Greg Hurst fan, even from back in his League One days. So I think it makes sense. He can kind of build on the finish that he had to the season. And we're going to see I think we'll see some depth out of there as well, obviously. But for right now, I think that's a good plan.
You brought him up. The newest signing for New Mexico United, Marco Micheletto, joins New Mexico United after a spell with Columbus Crew 2 of MLS Next Pro. Prior to that, he was at no place other than Statesboro, Georgia. with South Georgia Tormenta FC. He made 71 appearances in 3 seasons, scoring 22 goals in USL League One. Went over to MLS Next Pro for a couple seasons, 9+ goals in back-to-back seasons, and was the MVP of the MLS Next Pro Cup in 2022. You talk about a guy who comes in and can make an immediate impact in the midfield. This is one of those guys, and could he? Does he take over one of those starting roles? I think he possibly could, particularly with Portillo not being there anymore. And I think that this is a guy, and this is going to go back to Carlos's question as well. Do we bring back Wehan? I think this signing here points to a potential future without Bees.
I think it comes down to Wehan's health.
Mm-hmm.
And how he's recovering from what I believe was a broken kneecap that saw him miss pretty much all of last season. And so when he's injured like that, he obviously can't get out on the pitch for Quill to see what he's made of. He's a player that I think Quill's probably familiar with. There's a lot of tape, a lot of good tape of Chris Wehan out there. And just because we brought in Marco, I don't think signifies the end of Wehan, because if we've proven anything in the last couple of years, is depth is very important. And I think Wehan and Marco, from what I've seen of Marco anyways, are perfectly capable of playing together on the pitch in some type of formation, especially attacking through the middle like we saw Quill implement successfully there in stretches of his time as the head coach after he came in. And so just because we have somebody that kind of has a similar vibe as Wehan doesn't necessarily mean that means the end of Wehan here in New Mexico. I think it's definitely coming off that injury. If we offer him something, as long as it's not like ridiculously low, obviously, I think it's a place that Wehan probably feels comfortable for him and his family, and would be a good place to try to rehab his reputation out there after this long injury and a slow start to the season, even though he did have 2 goals before he got hurt. And so just because Marco's coming in, I don't think it means Wehan's gone by any means. I wouldn't say that we bring him back. I just don't know. With Quill, I'm not sure what he's looking at as far as like with Hurst, we could kind of base it on, okay, we saw him on the pitch with Quill there, and we saw him kind of come on late, and it doesn't surprise you. Rivas, same thing. I don't know if you mentioned Rivas earlier, but Rivas is coming back. We saw him perform particularly well with Quill there. We don't know with Wehan. We don't know if he was even able to train, or at least I'm not sure if he was able to train. And so it's hard to gauge how Quill feels about him, because we don't know if he would have got playing time if he was healthy, or if, what the case might have been. So I'm just kind of up in the air with him, but I'd like to see him come back.
You talked about not knowing if Bees have been training. I'm trying to think back to those, out of the tunnel videos that are, popular all over social media, and the clubs started doing them as well. I don't recall seeing Bees in any of those. Not that he's not there, not that he's not, trying to rehab and stuff like that, but we didn't see him coming out and training like we did with Christian. Right. We saw him coming out and doing that. So Rachel's obviously very excited to see what, Marco brings to the club. From your perspective, looking at what Marco has done in the past, looking at where our current midfield lies, do you think he steps into that starting role, or do you think he has to, fight against a guy like Bees, who we don't know what the future holds?
Well, first, I hope that Bees comes back. He obviously came back from where the fuck he went, Orange County, I think it was. He came back to New Mexico, so obviously New Mexico has a special place for him. But with Marco coming in, I don't think that spells the end of Bees. I think it just, like Jacob said, fortifies our midfield. And if we can get those two on the pitch at the same time, then shit, we might be good. So what was your question?
my Hey, Team Jacob has shown up. Team Earl, nowhere to be seen this evening.
Thank you, Earl. Or Harry. Thank you, Harry. Team Earl doesn't exist anymore.
Here we go. Jacob or Harry, hope you're doing well. Appreciate you popping in, buddy. So Earl, the question is, does Marco step in, day one to take a starting position, or does he have to fight, for someone like Bees? Now, I also want to expand that to just a little bit. You look at what we have already. We've got Rivas coming back. We've already got Christian coming back. The potential of Bees. You've got Nikki. You've got Zico who can play in the midfield. You've got Santi who can play in the midfield. Is there really someone that doesn't get left out of this mix?
I think it's hard to say because obviously we watched Quill all last season and the frustrations that he gave us and the anxiety attacks he gave us and everything else in between. I think he does step on the pitch on day one. I think he sees the starting whatever it may be, 60 minutes, 70 minutes, just to show what he has. But I don't think he is a forever starter. I think he's a decent rotational player that's going to give us fresh legs down the stretch when we need it the most. Because you look at the end of the season, we were limping in there. We were dragging our tails and trying to stay healthy with everything that we had. So I think with him coming in, it gives us a little more depth and a little more flexibility to be able to do things that we need position-wise.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how Quill fits everyone in. And to see, obviously, there's still quite a bit of ways to go on the roster here as we go through the offseason. Harry in the chat saying San Antonio doesn't have any news yet, which is interesting. I'm kind of surprised by that. I figured there'd at least been something out of San Antonio already. But, some other news, next thing I tangentially related, Andrew Thomas was re-signed by Seattle. So he will not be coming back. He is one of, at least not anytime soon. He is currently one of two keepers on the Seattle roster. So Andrew Thomas not returning. No word yet on Fort Parker. No word yet on Alex Tambakis. Do you guys see either of them coming back?
I see Parker coming back in a backup role again. I don't think we go into. He looks like he is on the floor. I was just thinking the same thing, Harry.
Every week.
Really?
Every week.
Nice. I haven't obviously watched, and I was just sitting here going, man, if that door frame wasn't there, I would think you were laying down.
That's why I put the door frame right here. And the picture right there.
Yeah, but the picture could just be laying on the floor. It's the door frame's the only giveaway.
And the saw blade, this way. The saw blade.
Yeah, that could just be laying on the floor too. I have saw blades laying around my floor everywhere.
That's painty.
I'm sure the kids love to play floors lava with those.
Yeah, for sure. They only have like 7 toes each, but they're fine.
Yeah.
Well, because they had to compensate for the forehead.
What? You see, you forced it. You forced it, Earl. There was gonna be a better time and a better forehead joke if you'd have just been patient, but you forced it, and now I can't take you seriously.
As if you ever did.
Yeah, it's fair. Anyways, yeah, I think Parker comes back in a backup role. I don't think he's the number one going into the season. Seems like this team. This team has definitely proven that they, even if they have a good backup that they think is just a quality backup, they will go out and find a A-level starter to bring in. When we lost Mizell, we all thought Beigel should have had a chance to be the number one, and at the last minute they brought in Tambakis. Tambakis is great for us. If he comes back, I'd be happy with it. If he doesn't come back, I'd be happy with it, as long as we get a top tier replacement for him, which is what I think they'll end up doing.
All right, Earl, what do you think happens?
I'm on the same boat. Obviously, I was not a huge Tambakis fan. So if he comes back, cool. If not, you're not gonna see me cry about it. But like Jacob said, I see Ford coming back and being a quality backup. If he can get more minutes than what he did last season, then cool. But New Mexico United loves to not keep their backups as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I honestly don't think Alex is back. I would like for him to be, but I don't think he is. And of course, we have no inside information on this at this time. It's just purely conjecture. I just don't think Alex is going to be back next year, but we'll see. Obviously, still a lot of offseason left to go. But that doesn't mean that the action is done. Right now, the USL Academy tournament is going on. New Mexico United is in the round of, 16, 24, whatever it is.
I think it's 16.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, round of 16. The Mexico United is round of 16. The first round of the USL Academy playoffs is on Thursday, beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern. New Mexico United Academy takes on North Carolina FC Academy at 4 o'clock Eastern, so 2 o'clock Mountain Time on Saturday. Winner of that game would either take on AC Connecticut or Utah Red Wolves SC. Obviously the Academy having another very good year. They're out in the national tournament again. I don't know if there's going to be any way for this to be streamed or watched or whatever. Obviously the club will more than likely be giving us updates on Twitter. Are you guys going to be following along in whatever method you can on Thursday?
Yes, I will be. I would love to.
Reason being, sorry to mop over you real quick. Reason why my answer is no is because I took off today, so I am now a day behind. So Wednesday, Thursday being my Friday, I have a lot of things to get tied up, like send Jacob his seasonal check stubs. So those are on the way, Jacob. If I was in today, they would have had them there today, but it's whatever. That didn't happen. So that's why I won't be following, because I'll be probably too busy to even wipe my own ass.
Fair enough.
All right, Jacob, you said you're going to be tuning in. Hopefully, I'm assuming the club is going to be live tweeting this.
Yeah, I'll figure out some way. As long as I remember, I'll be at work. So as long as I remember to check it and whatnot, I'll definitely follow in. The Academy team really excites me. I think the success that we've had in the past with the Academy team is really beneficial to the parent, or the what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
The first team. That's the word I was looking for. Is really beneficial to the first team. And then I think it's really beneficial to the team's success as a whole, with the fan base and everything like that. Like seeing local kids go and compete and perform well on these big stages for, amongst their peers, and get that recognition, I think just drives the success of this club even more. So I love what the Academy does. I wish it was easier to keep track of how they're doing, who's playing, because at the moment, pretty much unless you go to the games in person, other than some highlights of the goal scorers and stuff, there's not a lot to go off of there. So hopefully they're back in Tampa, right? That's where they're at again this year.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully in Tampa they can have some sort of ability to stream some stuff. Maybe not this first round. I get that, but if we progress farther, get to the semifinals and the finals or whatever, hopefully we'll be able to at least watch those games. And the live tweeting is fine. It's great. It's whatever. Reading the text is only so much you can do. It reminds me of back in the day before we could actually watch videos on our phones. Me just constantly looking at Gamecast of a basketball or football game if I couldn't be in front of a TV to watch it, and just see what happened. And so,
it's like any New Mexico Lobos game now.
You lost me. Sorry.
You just had to watch the Gamecast.
The basketball team?
Yeah.
They're not on CBS Sports anymore?
Not even the Aggies Lobos game was broadcast.
Interesting. Anyways, yeah, so I will be tuning in for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Academy had an impressive year, and obviously the USL Academy website is not great for following along with matches, but the Academy went 10-1-1 with a plus 33 goal differential in the regular season. So absolutely walked. Well, I can't say walked away with their division because the Red Bulls went 9-2-1. But I mean, the Academy had a fantastic season then. A super talented club. It's really fun to see, what David is doing with that group down there. Really excited for the future of this club. Obviously, Astorga came up through there, played with the U23s, and is now with the first team. So the Academy is paying off for United, and it's definitely gonna keep doing that for the future.
Speaking of the Academy, I have 3 names I want to throw at you guys.
Okay.
As far as that were on the roster last year, that maybe I've missed something. If I have, correct me, but that I don't know if we know what's going on with them. The first of which is the speaking of the Academy for both of you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited would you be to see Wagner back with the first team?
I'd love to see Alex back.
A 10.
The problem
is
he's playing collegiate.
Right.
Yeah.
But just like last year, he started with us, and then obviously he left. But I would love to see him get minutes at the beginning of the season like he did last year. And then obviously when he has to go back and actually go to college and stuff in August, then we would lose him. But I would love to see that. Hopefully he comes back. I was surprised to see him go to college to an extent, because I thought he was performing really well and had a chance to really make a name for himself in the professional sphere. But nonetheless, the next one, just for you, Earl, Hamilton. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited would you be if he came back?
I'd be more excited to see her rhinoceros give birth.
I mean, I would too. That would be fascinating. But as long as it's not to Ace Ventura, then I would be fascinated. Showing my age there, just a hair. But yeah, Hamilton is a name that kind of sticks out to me as far as the roster that we had last year that hasn't been announced yet this year. We don't know.
I don't know. This year. I have some rumblings that he won't be back.
That would be my guess, because he was not high on the list of players that were in every match once Quill took over, especially down the stretch. Quill kind of finally saw.
He even lost the captain's armband. So,
well, he didn't necessarily. I think
when
when
he's
he was
not playing,
out there,
he doesn't have.
When he was out there,
right,
he still had it on.
Yeah.
When he was out there, though, he still had it on. It's just you can't have it when he's on the pitch or when he's not on the pitch. So, and then the last one for you, Seth, gentleman of an elder stature, a New Mexico native, Josh Suggs. Are you guys hearing anything there? Do you think he's going to retire? Do you think he's coming back? Do you think he's moving to a new team? If you guys have any insight, that'd be great. Otherwise, just what are you guys thinking?
We haven't heard anything as of yet on Josh. Right. Josh is not a spring chicken anymore. I want to say he is 33.
He's 32 or 33.
Yeah. 34. He is 34. Oh, shit. Yeah, he'll be 35.
Yeah, that's right. Because he's my age. He's my age. He's a month younger than me.
I don't know. I mean, he came on really strong in the second half of the season.
He did.
After Quill came in, and he was, I think he was healthy at that point too.
That I think was the biggest thing, was he finally got back
because he had that injury that kept him out and kind of kept him behind, like a few minutes behind the all-time record for minutes for most of the latter half of the season. He put in some really good shifts.
He did.
I mean, provided he's healthy, I would not mind seeing him back. He's a leader in the clubhouse. Yeah. He's a vocal guy on the pitch. Can he necessarily make all of the plays at 35 years old? Maybe not.
He's Roy Kent.
Yeah.
That is my comparison for him. Like he's a fiery player when he's out there. He gives it his all. and he might be like on the tail end of his career, but I think he's still got juice left. He's really can't season one, I should say.
Yeah.
And so I think he can come back, give, I don't think he's going to be a 35 match starter by any means, but he'll start his fair bit. He'll come off the bench in a few others. He'll sit out several for rest and health purposes. But I think it's a guy that if he doesn't come back, I would be surprised if he doesn't come back and he moves on to another team. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't come back because he hangs it up.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of last year proved to me that when healthy, which is a decent sized caveat, he can be a game changer at times in certain bursts. And so to me, he's definitely on the, like I was looking through the roster from last year and who we don't know about. And it's really him and Yearwood are the two names that I'm like,
I don't think Austin's those guys back. I would like Austin. So I don't think he is.
And so those were the only two that I was like, yeah, out of the ones that we are for sure don't know right now, I would like to see them back.
Yeah, I think Suggs has one more year. And I would love to see that in the black and yellow.
And Leanne. Sorry, I forgot about Leanne.
Yeah. And like you said, I don't think, obviously, he surprised me at the end of the season. He was going full 90. We did not expect that there towards the end of the year. But I think if he does come back next year, you'll see some rotation. You'll see him, get a couple games off. Probably won't play Open Cup. If you've got, the 3 and 7 days, you probably won't see him for at least one of them, but yeah, no, he's absolutely, he's a vocal guy. He's a leader. He's an absolute stand-up guy. And I would love to see him finish out his career here. If he can, and I think he's a guy, I think he showed Quill. I don't think Quill would have thrown him out there as much as he did, if he wasn't still capable of doing it at a high level. So,
yeah.
All right, Earl, I know we're getting close to your bedtime. You got time for one more topic? Because this is one that we have not talked to Jacob about yet. Jane, welcome on in. Happy to see you. I want to see Suggs back. He played his ass off the last half of the season. He clearly wants to be here. Yeah, I don't think you'll get any disagreement from us on that at all. 100%. Hope you're doing well, Jane. Jacob, last topic. And again, it's you haven't been here, so we haven't gotten your take on this. Couple weeks ago, November 20th, historic day for New Mexico United. Albuquerque City Council voted to approve the lease between the club and Balloon Fiesta Park. Obviously we had a lot of discussion about this before you left, a lot of discussion throughout the season and over the past couple of years. Number one, what does it mean to you that this deal is finally done, and how do you feel about the location?
The deal being done and the fact that we will have our own place and not get disbanded like Reno, rest in peace, Fresno, rest in peace, some other clubs that couldn't get funding or anything like that for a stadium is obviously, I don't even really have to say
energy.
Yeah. Is super exciting. Like, we have now gone through 5 seasons with this club, followed it religiously for those 5 seasons. The first 3 seasons for me, I was there almost every match. Obviously that kind of dipped when I moved to Fort Sumner, but the 3 of us here especially have lived and breathed and bled black and yellow for the better part of the last 5 years. And so to finally have a plan in place that hopefully, gets saw through and hiccups. Obviously hiccups are going to come in the form of construction and stuff like that, because those things always do. But as far as, the city putting kibosh on it or anything like that, knock on wood, as long as nothing like that happens, to know we'll be breaking ground in the next year or so, and in the next couple of years have have a stadium that we can call our own and have a proper soccer press box to go up into and a proper soccer pitch to watch our team play on, and to for me and Earl to be down and taking pictures, and hopefully we can actually, move about the stadium a little bit more than we can at Isotopes Park, where we're pretty much regulated to a dugout or the outfield wall. And so just I can tell you right now that the moment we walk into that new stadium, I will 100% shed a tear, 100%, because of what this club has meant to me and the community for the last 5 years. That being said, I hate the location of it for one reason.
Okay.
And it was talked about. I don't know. I was actually, so I didn't have my phone Monday through Friday, the whole academy. But Monday the 20th, I took my final exam in the morning. And then after we took our final exam, we got our phones and could keep them. So I watched the majority of I missed the public comments, but the council asking people questions and getting clarification on things. Can't remember the guy's name that they were asking all the questions to, but I watched that part and I watched the vote. And one of the ladies that voted no, I believe she voted no, brought up you want a stadium somewhere where you can build things around it that will improve that area, restaurants, bars, shops, stuff like that. And Cole, we have our differences, Cole. I wanted a downtown stadium that would have been legit. Mesa del Sol, I think could have been a really good option to grow that neighborhood and to see that turn into something else. I don't think we're going to be able to see that kind of growth and expansion for Balloon Fiesta Park, because there's just, you already have Balloon Fiesta Park, which takes like the actual field, which takes up a huge portion of that area. You have the museum, you've got the golf course, you've got the parking lots for everything. Like a lot of that is already eaten up and isn't going to change. There is some areas over there that I think can be brought up and made into a nice little area. So we'll have to see what the future brings there. Everything else, like the infrastructure, it needs improved. It'll get improved. It'll be nice. The parking and traffic, I don't know. These people that have complained the whole time about no matter where it's going to be about parking and stuff, they must have never been to a sporting event or a concert or anything like that anywhere in the world. Because for the most part, when you get 15,000 people in one stadium, traffic's going to suck no matter what. So it is what it is. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. I don't hate it. There were better options that I thought were out there in a perfect world. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a location that people are familiar with. It's going to be fairly easy to get in and out of, all things considered, since we do it for the Balloon Fiesta and other events there all the time. Kind of know what it's going to be like. And then just have something that's black and yellow and has pictures of Devin after his first goal. Picture of Devin holding up the Schmidt armband after he scored, after Schmidt lost his dad. Amondo's bicycle from last year. Yeah, I don't know how they can do this, but the freighter sound effect has to be somewhere in that stadium. And so we're only 5 seasons old, but the memories that we already have and the stuff that we can put up in that stadium to make it United's already is huge. And I mean, if you guys expected me to come in here and say anything but praise for having our own stadium. I don't know what to tell you because that's not how it's going to be. So, yeah, I'm thrilled about it. I can't wait for it to actually, start in motion, see the designs of it, see plans for it, and see what it's going to look like, and actually break ground. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think you'd come in with anything different than what we did, but again, you haven't been here in quite a few weeks, so like definitely want to get your take on that. And really, I mean, it's going to be a talking point for the next year, until they break ground. I know that there are rumors that Pete had talked about potentially, breaking ground before the end of this year, which I think would be phenomenal. I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I mean, I think it'll be before the next season starts.
Mm-hmm.
In March, but I mean, we have 25 days left in this calendar year. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I actually don't think so. But I can't sit here and say that I'm not anxiously watching my email for an invitation from David Weesey Carl.
Yeah,
to come out to groundbreaking. So
yeah, I'm definitely calling in that day. I'm letting everybody know now.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to work that day.
As long as it's not like a holiday in the summer, I will be there as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely a lot to look forward to. We'll be coming back throughout the offseason. I'm going to try to get a special guest for our show, hopefully in 2 weeks from now. We are going to go kind of our off-season schedule every 2 weeks. We will bring you runners updates throughout the off-season as well. Runner season, of course, kicks off December 30th. Out at the Rio Rancho Event Center. So if you don't have your tickets already, go out and get those. I'm planning on being there. I don't know where everyone else is planning on being, but Earl's going to be there. All right, perfect. Hopefully we'll get in touch with Andres and get us our some media passes here before too long.
We already got them.
Already got them. Sweet. All right.
They'll be at the press box. I'll text him. I'll remind him. But I told him at the last United match for 5 press passes, and he's like, gotcha.
All right, very cool. Sounds good. So there you have it, folks. There is still soccer to come. USL Academy tournament this week, Thursday, 2:00 Mountain Time. Catch the United Academy team in action. Runners, December 30th, out of the Rio Rancho Event Center. So like I said, we'll probably be back in about 2 weeks. Maybe get some more news between here and there. I don't know. We'll play it by ear. If there's news, we'll be back. If not, who knows? We may be back anyway. We'll see and just kind of catch up before the holidays. But
I know it sounds like you're wrapping up because you are.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to ask you guys a quick question because, like you said, I was out for the last couple months of the season.
No, we're not doing Santa.
No. What were your guys' opinion of the team, the season as a whole, and Quill's performance since he came in?
Earl, do you want to take this one first? Because I have thoughts. And I know you've got a strict out. So
he doesn't have a strict out. He's just old.
No, sorry, I'm playing Connect 4 with my brother.
First it was Shuffleboard, now Connect 4. Oh, yeah. Earl.
My thoughts on the season were it was an emotional roller coaster where we started off really good and then we slumped really hard. And then Quill came in and we got fire under ass again, and then we slumped really hard. And then somehow limped into the playoffs, and then exactly as we expected, got sent home immediately. So I mean, the season was almost exactly what I expected, was an emotional roller coaster, because that's what it always is for us. But I didn't expect that hard of a dip.
So if you had to give the team and Quill a letter grade for how the season turned out,
a C.
C.
I give a C because had we made a higher ranking position in the playoffs, it probably would have been a B. But how we slumped hard when we needed to win, kind of what draws a C for me.
I mean, I can see that. I mean, it was definitely a season of ups and downs. Obviously, you don't expect injuries to some of your key folks. You don't expect Bees to be out for, I'd say, 70% of the season, due to injury. You don't expect to lose, Josh Suggs for a significant portion of the season. Losing Nava, yeah, absolutely. You lose your one of your brightest young players for essentially the entire year, to an ACL tear. You don't expect those things. And for me, I really have to look at the season as a tale of two halves. You have pre-Quill, and then you have, post-Quill. In both instances, I have to say that we underperformed. You look at the results on the field, and we underperformed no matter who was there. Now, obviously, you've got the bump there, after Zach left. You've got Masaki coming in, taking on the interim tag for a match, and the club played pretty well despite the result there. But when Quill comes in, you get a string of wins, and you start to feel like things are turning around. And that was absolutely a pivotal turning, whatever you say, a pivotal moment, a turning point for the team. And you could see players change their I don't want to say change their attitude, but they see, and I don't even want to say more bought in, because it's not like they weren't bought into what Zach wanted to do. I think there was an issue with tactics. I think there was an issue with us not being able to break anybody down, and we still struggle with that in the second half of the season at times too. And Coach Quill talked about it. But you saw a willingness to try different things, to play in different positions, to go different tactically. Obviously, Brucey as a 9, not something you would expect despite him playing as a 9 at times in college. But there was just a different level of energy between Zach and Coach Quill. And Zach is obviously a very reserved guy. Yes, he would lose his temper where needed, but you saw a lot more energy out of Quill, and I think the players felt that. So for the Zach portion of the season, I'm gonna go like a C-. And honestly, I feel like that may be generous there. I could probably even go like a D+, simply because of the fact that the team didn't live up to expectations. The signings that were brought in didn't live up to expectations. And I don't think Zach got the best out of them. I think Quill did, however. I think Quill made some key signings that really helped turn the season around. And even though there were stretches of bad under Quill, there was a different feel about the team, and they never really felt out of a match at any point. You sensed the energy. You saw creativity back in the lineup. You saw creativity back on the pitch. You could see things changing. So I don't think I could be quite as hard on Quill as Earl is. I'd go a B. I think if the results had been a bit better, you could argue, B+, A- maybe. But I think it's one of those things where, after guys really gelled and really figured out, how Quill is wanting to play, that it really came together. So, I mean, Jacob, I don't know how much you got to see while you're away. I mean,
so I missed the weekday matches, but I caught all the weekend matches. Sometimes with my full attention, sometimes with one eye on them. Mm-hmm. But what I did see was similar to you, Seth. It was definitely a tale of two halves there. I think I'd say a C with Zach. I wasn't freaking out about Zach. I think had he not decided to go join Lesane at Red Bull and he would have stayed, I think the season probably plays out about the same way it did, but with drastically different style to it. Mm-hmm. And so Quill coming in definitely gave the club more energy. It definitely seemed like we wanted to be more attacking, more on the front foot. When we had the lead, even when we had the lead late, we really wanted to keep pushing and whatnot. And so I would have to say that with Quill, obviously there was a little lull there. We saw the last few matches of the game or the few matches of the season. Like I disagree with Earl where he said we limped into the playoffs. I mean, we won 3 in a row there at the end. For that, we played in Pittsburgh, which was the 1 seed in the East, lost to them by 1. I thought that was a decent showing. We had beat Indy before that. And so I think, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last 6 matches, we only lost the 1 game, and it was to Pittsburgh, in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty damn good. And then the only one that wasn't a win was a draw in Sacramento. So those last 6 matches, especially offensively, what we saw like against Memphis or even Phoenix when we went down there, or even Louisville. I mean, we played Louisville here and we're the better team pretty clearly, in my opinion, if I'm remembering that game correctly. So I'm higher on what Quill did at the end of the season. Obviously, if you look at last offseason, where we thought we would be come the beginning of the, like our preseason predictions, I think even Harry had us top 3 in the West. And so expectations were high. So if you're grading off of expectations, then yeah, it was a shitty year and probably should be a C- or a D. As the season ebbed and flowed and we saw where we were at different stages of the season, at the end of the season, I feel fairly good about it. And so I'll go with a B for Quill's time. It's not easy to come in and take a roster that you did not create, mold it in the middle of the season, get the players to buy in and play your style if you're changing styles drastically, which I think he was. And we saw him come in. He did a really good job with that. Obviously, he had some misses as far as who he brought in, like Reyes, we talked about, didn't really do much. Zaleta didn't really do much. But then you have Nico Bailey and Nicky Hernandez who come in and are huge bright spots.
I like how you skipped over one major name that didn't do shit.
Who?
Schneider board again.
You just hate 9s. That's what it is. You don't understand the position, and you hate all 9s unless they're scoring 7 times a fucking match.
No, I like fucking action and not camping out fucking middle of nowhere.
Have you watched Romelu Lukaku play ever?
No. Because I'm not a Premier League fan.
He's not in the Premier League.
He's not in the Premier League.
Where's he at now?
He was with Chelsea for a little while, but he's back in Serie A.
Yeah, Serie A. Yeah.
So no, I mean, he's not. To look at the number 9 position and expect everybody to be Erling Haaland, you're going to be disappointed. I'm sorry. It's going to be rough. And not everybody can be Harry Kane, Erling Haaland. It's just not possible. So that being said, Borgelin was fine. The 9s. Let me ask you this, Earl. Let me ask you this. Serious question. Like, put your phone down. Put the phone down. Put the phone down.
I'm listening.
Name me a number 9 that you have been happy with for New Mexico United in 5 years.
Give me a list of them.
Really? Okay. I'll give you the only sufficient answer.
Off the top of my head, there's only one that comes to mind, and he might not even been in. Yeah, I think it was a 9.
Who?
Dev.
Okay. He was a 9. And why did you like Dev?
Because he actually scored. He actually did shit. He took the attention off of players with the ball because he was a scoring threat.
Okay, fair enough.
And he took smart shots. He didn't take fucking half-ass stupid shots like Schneider Bordigan did. Like, if you want to pass the ball, pass it to your player.
I mean, this is the same. Goalkeeper. This is the same player that several people complained about most of the time he was out there, aside from like year 1, including you, I believe, at times.
Yeah, he's the only one I would say was decent.
There is a name you're forgetting, but that's fine. Frater, obviously, not necessarily last season or 2 seasons ago, Frater, but year 1 Frater was the best number 9 that we had. That was also in large part due to who was around him and the system that we were playing at the time. And so the point is, we've been around for 5 years, and there are 2 that you can name that were positives for you. My point is, being a number 9 is not easy. Being a number 9 isn't all about scoring goals.
It's also more than camping in the box.
Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just taking up space.
Okay, I'll believe you.
If you look at the last 6 matches of last season, I don't know off the top of my head. I know Hurst scored 2. Those are probably the only 2 in those last 6 matches that were scored by a number 9. Yet, we had, aside from the 0-0 draw against Sacramento, are probably four of our best offensive games in that stretch. And the 9 only scored 2 goals during that stretch.
I want to say Hurst scored more than 2 the last.
Nope.
He only scored 4 goals all season.
7 matches in between.
He scored 4 goals all season. Yeah. 2 of them were early in one
2
game.
braces.
Yeah, and then 2 of them were against Memphis.
So I thought he scored before Memphis again.
Mm-mm.
He did, but it was a long time before Memphis.
No, recent before Memphis. But
no, I don't believe you're right. And so, all I'm saying is, we took a sidetrack on Earl Island over here to the hatred of 9s. Borgelin was fine. He wasn't the biggest bust. He at least got minutes. Soleta barely got minutes. Reyes barely got minutes. Borgelin was obviously doing something that warranted him getting minutes, despite what somebody who barely started watching 5 years ago is saying. And you're not going to find another Hurst scoreline in there. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm wrong.
I know.
There you go.
I'm not even looking.
I know. But it's a... As I was saying before Earl decided to go off on his little tangent, which got me off on a tangent, Quill did a good job on the fly of changing the roster just enough and then getting the most out of the players that were here. And so I'm excited to see what he does with the whole offseason. I give him a B for last season and think that if we can get the players that he wants and they can gel, it might not even be like big names like Brian Brown and all those guys that would break the internet, but if they can gel and come together like we thought they were going to at the beginning. Remember the beginning of this year, this past season, when it was like, oh man, these guys have come together, they've gelled, they're a team, it's gonna be great. Didn't quite pan out, but I think with this offseason, with the one move really we've already seen as far as a new player coming in, with the returnees that we have, other than like obviously Portillo and Nomando are huge losses, but they're not irreplaceable. We'll be fine. And so I think I agree with parts of both of your assessments on the last season, but really I wanted to see, because you guys were actually able to watch the game, all the games, make it to some of the games, and kind of had a better feel for it. But at the end of the day, I think we all kind of agree that could have been worse, could have been better.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, unless you're winning the cup, I mean, it's hard to say that your season could have been better. So,
well, I mean, if we would have beat Sacramento, then I think we're playing with house money after that. And I think you would come back and say that was a successful season where we found our stride and have something to build off of. Losing to Sacramento sucks. I hate losing to Sacramento in the playoffs. It's happened too many times. But they were a good team. They were a good team all season. We played them tough. Even in the match that we lost, we still played them tough. And so still think it's something to build off of. Still think those last 6 regular season matches are a good sign, and excited for what's to come.
Yep, absolutely. Real quick, Alexi Swahi, former New Mexico United man, is on the move once again. Don't know where yet, but he is moving on to a new team for next season.
Where was he?
He was in
League One, wasn't he?
League One. Yeah, he got to League One. So, yeah, the USL League One Defender of the Year finalist. So,
nice.
He's on the move once again. So,
probably if he was a Defender of the Year finalist, I would like to see him come back up to the championship level.
Yeah.
If he stays in America, anyways.
So before we take off, or before I take off, you guys can hang on and talk about all you want. Team Earl did text me. That's where he was at. He said he had too many brews tonight and to say hi to Mr. 8-Head.
Alrighty, there you go. Team Earl chiming in. So Earl, one last thing real quick. You had mentioned Danny Trejo available. Apparently he is linked to an Israeli side. So take that for what it is. We'll wait and see what happens with that signing as well. So any final thoughts before we get out of here? No. All right, Jacob, for the first time in a very long time,
do your job.
Out of here.
Was Earl doing this when I was gone, or did you?
No, I was doing it.
Of course not. Come on, Earl.
We just click the button.
First of all, Team Jacob in the chat earlier, I gotta thank him. Jane, always consistently in the chat. Carlos, aside from the Gunners stuff, it was good to have you in the chat, I guess. Rachel, always lovely to have you. It was glad to be back. I'm glad to be back. It was great to be back. I'm looking forward to getting more and more news this offseason. Hopefully I can make it to a runners match sometime this year. I think, what is this, year 4? Year 5?
Year 5.
6 for them. And so have no more excuses. I got to get out to at least one this season. And even if it's in Amarillo or something like that, because it's the same distance for me to there as it is to Albuquerque. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad to see Earl is still Earl. Seth, I thought you did a better job than when I was here before, so you're getting better. Congratulations. I appreciate that. I think that's the girlfriend. She's making you a better person. I appreciate that. Be sure to let her know that I said that. Oh, she listens, huh?
She listens.
Yeah, good. And yeah, we'll be back Tuesday. We can't do math right now, but 19th? I believe it's going to be the 19th. Yeah, I was getting there. Why are there balloons floating up in Earl's screen? What the fuck was that?
No idea.
Did you do that on purpose, Earl? Anyways, it wouldn't be an outro without a awkward pause to see what Earl was doing. So
I was doing nothing.
So 2 weeks from now, we'll be back. We'll have hopefully some more news, roster news, team news, stadium news, whatever. If not, we'll just come on here and bullshit, which is what we are the best at anyways. So, damn it, Earl. thanks again for everybody in chat. Thanks for everybody listening, everybody watching. And we'll be back in a couple weeks. Somos Negros.